Excuse me. All right, so good news and bad news. Bad news first, good news first. Good, bad, bad. I mean, I don't even think it's really bad news. I just pretty much couldn't trade this week because my Wi-Fi was getting fixed up. The good news is I shouldn't lose connection anymore. There was like, so pretty much here where I live, there was like a big like series of storms for like honestly like 2 weeks, and that pretty much messed with, I guess, whatever gives us Wi-Fi, and so the guys finally came and fixed that up. So I shouldn't have any more internet issues. But yeah, I pretty much, because of that, I had no Wi-Fi for like the week. Only half the week, not the whole week. Pretty much Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, pretty much, yeah. Not a bad week to miss. You're right. You're right. Sloppy week. But we can just go ahead and dive right in. So pretty much continuing Tuesday's lecture, I guess. Right, we were anticipating the continuation of price here. Right, however, we were pretty much acknowledging the fact that there was still a potential POI up here, and that's pretty much what we were looking for. Seeing if that was, if we were pretty much going to drive price here and then continue, which would provide us a bearish narrative, or we'll get what we got. And let me see, let me just delete. Right, so remember what our point of invalidation was. Right, our point of invalidation being this previous high. Right, so because we essentially came to challenge this high, this not only gives me, even if this could have been an internal liquidity grab, right, the matter of fact is that we came to take this high out, and it's a very significant high because, right, if we're looking at structural ranges, right, we're looking at the one we noticed on Tuesday to begin with, and then we were anticipating the continuation because of the internal structural range. But because we did not give that, we reacted from a potential inefficiency and continued lower. Right, this then caused us to take liquidity and immediately react. Right, which, keep in mind, this took out liquidity here, liquidity here. So because this pretty much created a liquidity grab to the upside and challenged this high, even if there is an internal liquidity grab here, it doesn't fit the narrative because of this. This is very significant because we took the preliminary high out with, not only did we take it out, but we take it out with momentum, and we did come and challenge the previous structural range high, giving us a potential sign of bullishness, making this unwillingness based on right high, low, retracement, break of structure, solidified high. Right now we have a internal liquidity grab, right, which then came back with slow momentum, which this generated an upside move. And if we do take this out, then this could probably be the start of a new higher high. So this looks like, honestly, looking at this now, looks like a very sloppy transition, right? Because it's not, there's no schematic in play. The schematic that would have been in play is here, right? But then our phase E was extremely sloppy, right? So I do not call this an accumulation, right? Because in an accumulation, right, you already have your drives, optimism, LPS, SOS, and a continuation to the upside, right? But because we had this stallment here, right, this generated a bearish, pretty much a medium-term bearish bias, which then obviously led to what we talked about on Tuesday. And since then, pretty much the bias was invalidated by a liquidity grab and a mitigation. So because this is so sloppy, this is taking a lot of effort to force this higher, right? So I don't want to call this a schematic, right? And I don't want to get too caught up trying to guess a reversal, right? But if we're looking at our daily now, right, we've taken out a massive level of liquidity and we have now started to give a strong reaction, right? But if we're looking at legs, right, you could say an A, B, C, right? Our leg, right, we could easily start to come back up into this inefficiency. Why? Because the fulfillment was already, as you can see, the fulfillment was already reacted from, meaning this was a realistic POI that actually worked out. So once that is taken out, which it looks like it should, that generates a type of H4, right? Human H4 disruption. Sorry about that, disruption. So with the disruption occurring, right, that pretty much sets you up for a bullish bias, right? But because we're always trying to guess continuations in terms of an overall scale, there is an inefficiency up here. But the only issue with trying to pursue that, especially now, is the fact, right, that even though there is a potential POI, we have to understand how we get to the POI. So with that being said, you have a low, high, low, high, right? So our major intraday is bullish, even though our overall swing is bearish. All right, so that's a pretty tricky situation because it's going to take a while for either one to convert, right? Meaning, even though it was a sloppy week, right, hence this, does not necessarily mean next week can't be a much better move, right? Which I personally think we could get a much better move. If the bias is correct, realistically, right, you should come back for these lows. Now, after we take this low, okay, now that's a completely different topic now, because for example, let's look at GU, right? Look at this. There's a reason why I didn't want to touch this, and I guess now you see why, right? Remember what I said? I believe it was Tuesday, right? So Friday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. I was more so leaning towards the bearish bias because of the fact that we took out our February high, which is a ton of liquidity, created an internal swing structural range, and this could just be an overall continuation, right? So very, very sloppy. We can delete these drawings now, but looking at where price is now, right, keep in mind this is our overall structural range here. Right, we held preliminary structure, so this is a solidified low, and the overall is still bearish. Right, overall is still bearish. But as we start zooming in, right, we obviously had our pretty much a preliminary leg lead us let me see. Preliminary leg that pretty much transitioned us back into pretty much taking out the structural range low. So the structural range low was then taken out, and we have a essentially type of liquidity grab with strong momentum. But matter of fact is we did not break structure. So even if we're looking at order flow, right, looking, as you can see, efficient, then a drop, right? Naturally, this is a probable POI. Probable POI, but no reaction, right? If anything, we took that out. Who knows where we reacted from? Even if we reacted at M1 something here, it's not too appealing to me, just because I would have wanted to see the order flow continuation occur. But this shows to me order flow isn't strong. So order flow isn't strong to the downside, yet we have strong momentum, and we're in a pretty much bearish minor intraday structural range in an overall swing bearish structural range. So I don't want to get caught up taking a low, but there's a very good chance right? We could see a type of transition. There's a very good chance. All right, obviously this is the wick from news that generated the move to the upside. So from the wick down, maybe there's even something small. Yeah, you can see the open. That's where the momentum came in the open. So, right, look at where we are now. In terms of our scalp, let's see, blue. Right, our scalp is bearish. So, even though this is a potential POI, I'm not trying to guess this low, especially when you have a continuation POI here. So obviously, right, whatever happens in terms of a reaction, right, obviously there is no right, there is no liquidity grab that is still considered a break of structure, but who's to say we can't have any type of disruption that'll give us optimism to the upside. But without any type of disruption, break of structure, anything like that, this is not something I'm trying to trade at the moment, especially with time it is 10:47. Right, let's acknowledge H1 closures. Right, could be rejecting. Right, really just depends on how we close. But there's a possible chance, you know, who knows? Because it's Friday, right, we have to acknowledge not only our H1 closures, we have to also acknowledge our daily closures, right? Because this is more than likely how we're gonna close for the week. Looking at our weekly, right, looks a bit bearish in my opinion, right? If we would have closed more so close to or above the open, then I would have assumed a more bullish scenario. But just for now, because we've taken so much liquidity out, it's natural that we see this reaction. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if we start seeing any type of discounted levels inside of this inefficiency in the weekly. Right, and with that being said, there is a candle here, so who's to say, right, we don't take liquidity and go. That would be more ideal for next week, in my opinion. Keep in mind, we're still bullish on this, right? But because of the scenario at hand, which is a liquidity grab, it's only natural that we actually see a decent sized correction. So in terms of an overall directional bias, you guys know where that is, right? But in terms of a medium term bias, you could probably see a lot more bearishness. Looking at EURUSD, this one as well, bit of a sloppy one, even though there was a very nice entry during that news spike. The only issue was, I'm pretty sure cost caught this. I don't necessarily see where the scenario was, so it wasn't the most tradable in my eyes, but there was definitely a very nice mitigation after the liquidity grab, right? Because this is a significant high. This is the final preliminary high in terms of this overall swing leg. That was then taken out, and we see price immediately come back, signifying liquidity grab, bearish narrative, right? And so there was definitely opportunity there. It's just the only issue would have been, even if you got the best possible entry, you more than likely would have broken even in Asia. So with that being said, right, sloppy week, it's okay. Could you have traded this in terms of an intraday basis? 100%. I'm positive you could have gotten a lot of 15, 20, 30 pip moves, potentially 40, 50. I mean, look at order flow, right? To take highs, right? This is why we take partials at liquidity if you trade order flow, because the point of order flow is to take liquidity, and the point of liquidity is to carry us to the next directional bias, right? Or the next directional target. So the order flow is present. You understand that the point is to chase liquidity, right? And hence that's why a lot of people trade based on liquidity. Look at Raj, right? Raj will only trade once liquidity is taken because that's his model, right? So it's important to understand that if you're going to trade order flow, which is pretty much what I've transitioned you guys into over the past couple months, transitioning over to order flow. Why? Because you understand direction based on a logical perspective, and I think that's what makes it make sense. Right? Do you guys agree or disagree? Right? Even if the concepts are not real whatsoever, in my opinion, they are backed by theory, and because we have practiced them, that's what makes them work. Right? At the end of the day, strategy is strategy, and it's all very user dependent. Right? Like, if you just gotta, that's just one of the hard truths in my opinion, when it comes to trading. Right? The only reason something works is because you made it work for you, not necessarily because the method itself works. Right? Just more of a kind of a misinterpretation per se. Excuse me. Yeah, so EU, I'm pretty sure a couple of you guys caught this, no? Looking at the intraday basis, yeah, you can see order flow transition. Got taken out of BE. Yeah, were you in from here? Yeah, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate. So you see the order. I like seeing, right? Whenever I'm reviewing, I really do like to see these transitions. Right? I feel if you can understand these transitions in play, right, then you can obviously become better. For example, this is why I trade disruption. Inefficiency fill, reaction. Right? This thing comes back, takes out POI, disruption. Disruption, high momentum, does not necessarily show me that that's what I want to get into. Right? Hence the strong momentum. And then when you see the strong momentum, you could see that price wanted to convert. Why? Because you get the strong reaction and you get another strong reaction to the upside, but we do not take highs. Hence why you need unwillingness, right? Because there's already unwillingness present. Unwillingness to create new high. That gives you narrative, disruption, unwillingness, break of structure, Wick POI. Right? Pretty much how I go about reviewing, but I just think that's interesting. I think it's interesting to always notice how order flow plays with liquidity. Right, another sloppy one. This one I'm a bit disappointed on. I really wanted this move, the move from today. I wanted it more so on a Wednesday or Tuesday, just so I could have, you know, time to see this eventually come back up and maybe give us a very nice weekly closure. Right, but from now, you know, you can see it probably looks a lot more bearish than you know, before, especially with how we've closed. All right, look at how we've closed. Something to note. Right, so who knows? The first reasonable POI is obviously the 50%, which is where it is right now. But I don't want to pick the slow. I really don't want to pick the slow. Yeah, I do not want to pick the slow. This is bearish. You can see inefficiency here. Yeah, still bearish. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I see that. I know your example, right? I didn't see your chart work on this, but I did see your trade here. I saw your trade here. Very nice. Let's see if we could see what Falco saw. 1 second. 1 second. Still looking, still looking. Ah, you're slick. You're slick, bro. Reaction, disruption. POI. There's actually no way you got this. There's no way. That's very nice. Right, you could see the narrative portray itself. You see, I guess that's why disruption is such a very important tool in my opinion. Right, liquidity, disruption, POI, 2 pip stop. Yeah, that's very nice. Very nice. Right, so the only thing that would have worried me there is even though we have disruption, we have another break. So we have another break to have the break, then when you see it show its hand, and then that's where realistically you could have entered, right? Or even realistically here, SL here. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Diminishment, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, that's a good model. Trading based on liquidity, seconds time frame reversal, not bad. Just depends what you're looking for. That's crazy, yeah. That's sick. Question. Did you guys read the blog post? I didn't really announce it on RCV, but I announced it like everywhere else. I mean, yeah. What'd you guys think about it? What did you guys think of the blog post, the first one? And in case you haven't, or you don't know what I'm talking about, this one, June 8th. Dang, so I'm assuming nobody read it. Is the newsletter active? No, it's not. I don't even know how to use it, access it, to be honest. Yeah, Eddie, I did get your feedback. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna start announcing them on Discord too. Kind of forgot to. Sorry about that. But yeah, I have a couple of topics that like I have a couple of what is it called? I have a couple of topics in mind. Let me pull them up. Let me see. I have them written down in 2 spots. 1 second. So, alright. Oh, I have a lot. Wow. Alright. So, the ones I have, can you create a Discord channel with this mindset image like this? What do you mean? This is flow. This is on, you could just look this up on Google. Let me see. So, the ones that I have in mind next, I have get to the point, which means just getting to the point, you know, not trying to rant on. You guys know I like to just get to the point, get the information out. I don't like to, you know, waste a bunch of time with lectures. That's probably one of the next ones. Mental clarity. I have the smartest person you don't know, and let's see, I'm pretty sure you guys can guess who that is. The smartest person you don't know, or you don't acknowledge. Kind of working on that title, but the smartest person you don't know. The answer is clear. It's Who's the smartest person you don't know? Or that you don't acknowledge. The smartest person you don't acknowledge. Fuck. Ah, you just copied Sergio. You think you're slick. Sergio already knows. Ricardo thinks he's slick. No, yeah, it's you. The smartest person you don't know or you don't acknowledge is you. Right, so I think that's a cool one. I don't even know what I would write in that one. Like what direction I want to take. But shit, let me see. Now I got the ones on my iPad. So flow is done. The 5 R's: peace over happiness, improvise, adapt, overcome. Why theory is so difficult to apply. You don't know what you don't know. Discipline transcends motivation. Questions to ask when finding a bias. Benefits of thought-provoking, procrastination, grief. Free yourself over find yourself. Comparing yourself isn't always bad. Balancing effort and return. Your biggest source of leverage. What's your biggest source of leverage? I think I posted that on Twitter. Does anybody know? Does anybody know what your biggest source of I fucking almost said it. Your biggest source of leverage, fuck. Your biggest source of leverage. Almost said the word. No. Nope. Nope and nope. Hey, shut up, bro. Let these guys answer for themselves. You already know these answers. Yeah, he's cheating. Like, this guy. Yeah, individuality, your biggest source of leverage. So that's one of the last ones, and then I have color psychology. Why though? Why not? If you're gonna say no, then argue me why it's not. No. I mean, he's seen the tweet. Yeah, he sees the tweet, but that's not his question. Right, your individuality is pretty much you stepping out of your comfort zone, you doing what you think you should be doing, and benefiting from it. For example, me and Sergio with RCV, me with me with what I want to do with principle over concept down the road. And the thing is you could say time is your biggest source of leverage, but time is limited. Individuality isn't really limited, it's only limited by you. Your individuality, what makes you unique, right? That's what you leverage to be the network or create a network, right? That kind of falls into another thing that I said, which is I said fuck networking if you can just become the network. Right, but that's a whole another thing. That's a whole another thing, but you know, hopefully you understand what I mean. Quality of a person, can you limit that? Depends what, that's what I'm saying. It's limited by you. It's limited by you. Like, for example, there's the guy that limits himself to owning a business at the corner of his neighborhood, and then there's people like Elon Musk who took individuality to the next fucking level. Levels above levels. So if individuality is limited, then how are people doing incredible things? Yeah, energy is definitely part of individuality, 100%. Comparing, let me see. That one, compare yourself to yourself, could fall under free yourself over find yourself. And by that I mean, let me, so you guys understand what I mean. That's pretty much what I mean. But that's a more spiritual topic, so I need to definitely need to do more research on that one before I even start talking about it. But yeah, these topics, the ones on my iPad are just what I have from Twitter, to be honest. I'm pretty much connecting the tweets that we've made and taking out the good ones, and yeah, plenty to keep me busy. Oh, I have years worth of things I can do, bro. Years worth. But yeah, I like staying busy. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Some of them are definitely pretty interesting. Some of these might be repetitive, like they might emphasize similar things, so I need to watch out for that. And I also, like, the hard part about making these blogs is like trying not to get, you know, off topic. Like, you can get stuck talking about mental clarity, anything like that when it comes to flow, right? Like, for example, looking at flow, eliminating distractions, right? Hopefully I didn't, you know, write too much, right? I kept it all pretty narrow and tried not to go too much on emphasis in specific topics, just because I don't want it to then, you know, ramble on. Then see, stay organized, move with purpose, wire flow, try new things, everything, try to keep it very subtle and clear. And I guess that's another aspect of what I want to do with the next topic, which is getting to the point. So let me see, I have some notes on that actually. Simple and to the point is always the best way to get your point across, by Guy Kawasaki, that's his name, wrote that quote. So pretty much the point of getting to the point is, for example, my attention span is awful. It's terrible. It's awful. If you're not talking about something interesting with me, I'm probably not gonna listen to you. Like, I'd rather look at whatever's in the store. Like, not in an offensive way. It's just my attention span is awful. So let me see. Oh, I have a bunch of notes. We live in an era where time and attention are in heavy demand. Time is abundant but scarce. Think before you speak. Maybe do a 1.3 subsection solution, which is, for example, for every point that you're trying to make, just have 3 subsections supporting that point, and that's it. No need to ramble on. Let's see. Say what you mean. We mean what you say. All right, pretty much what we just talked about. You can mistakenly fall out of topic and dive too deep into other components. All right, so it's just don't forget to listen, don't speak too fast. But yeah, pretty much I have like a couple of notes. That one, I want that one to be pretty much short and sweet and to the point, because it's obviously about getting to the point. You see what I mean? Oh, and then there's another one that I was thinking about too, which is breathing. There's actually this book called Breathe, and that one's super interesting. Like, if you change the way that you breathe, you can change your entire life, and I think that's super interesting. I mean, you fuel yourself with bread. So yeah, it's the little things, bro. It's the little things. Yeah, like I don't remember exactly what. Like I haven't read the book, but my friend told me about it. We had like almost an hour conversation, hour-long conversation over it. Just telling me about all the benefits of breathing, breathing correctly. All right, not breathing too much through your mouth. Like you literally don't need to breathe through your mouth at all. Bunch of stuff. I definitely need to look into the book. Super interesting. Man, let's see if we can find it. I think it's called this right here. This one right here. And apparently there's like research that like was lost. I guess I don't know if it was the 70s, don't quote me on that, but a bunch of research that was just lost. And yeah, this guy James Nestor pretty much just brought the topic back to life. Let's see if I can get a summary. A historical specific personal breathing with a specific interest in contrasting the difference between mouth breathing and nasal breathing. Yep. It's a good read. It's a good read. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, other than that, do you guys have any questions? Any topics? All right, see this here? EG. Oh my god. You tell me what you see. I mean, we were right. We were right. Did I trade this week? No. Mainly because half the week I don't have Wi-Fi. I mean, you were right. Yeah, I remember what your bias was last week. I believe this was your target last week. Yeah. That should reach next week. Look at this daily. Yeah. Looks very bearish. I'm being honest. Yeah. Yeah, that low's gone. Yeah. No doubt. Type of disruption as well. POI rejection. But yeah, this looks bearish. See, that's kind of also why I'm leaning towards this. Still being bullish. But yeah, this one's been hard to trade over the last 3-4 months. Ever since this drop. Remember, we pretty much manifested this entire move to the downside. And since then, it's just been sloppy. That's what happens. I mean, big move, sloppy. Big move, sloppy. Recollection of orders. Redistro, reaccumulation. H1 leg is very good in my opinion to continue. I wouldn't disagree with that. Wouldn't disagree. Yeah, I mean, bearish leg. What the hell? Right, high 1, high 2. Liquidity grab, mitigation. Alright, once again. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Right, so liquidity is taken, break of structure, inefficiency fill to the T. Then mitigation, strong order flow. Disruption, which one? Which one? H1, where? Let's see. No. No. No, because of the liquidity grab. So the issue here, right, for one, you have to acknowledge this, right? This is why you stress pro trend. That's one. Right, two is, where did this mitigate? That's something I need to know too. Let's see. So we mitigated. This is also why I don't really like my deep retracements. This is also one of those confusing things that I had over the past couple months, is super deep retracements also leave relative equal highs. So because relative equal highs is there, structure's still intact, right? You have to acknowledge that what did it take for price to come back up here? It took low, well, low, high, break of structure, low, high, break of structure, low, high, break of structure, right? So now, right, this, right, we have a pretty much the break of structure to the upside. We have this momentum is definitely to the upside in terms of an intraday basis, right? But this is where it becomes much more important with the detail. So low momentum, strong volume. You have your high 1 and your high 2. Your high 2 is taken out, but but you have the liquidity grab, scalp break of, I'd consider that a scalp break of structure. So even though price isn't fully taken out per se, this is now in confluence with this. So because it's in confluence, then the idea makes more sense. But is it something I would have traded? Probably not, because for one, it happened at 6 in the morning, and that's barely when I'm waking up. Yeah, definitely. That's all liquidity though. That's all liquidity. Right, that's pretty much Raj's #1 thing. Right, for the let's actually look at M1 here. I want to look at M1. Because for example, if I wanted to trade this, right, it wouldn't have been till, yeah, this would have been very hard for me to trade. Yeah, especially you see when session starts, very hard. Yeah, not the prettiest. Not the prettiest at all. But yeah, I mean, EG is definitely moves much more different than EU, AU. So yeah, like you could see, you would not see this type of move on EU. I'm sorry, you would not see this on EU. Majority of the time. You would not see something like that. This candle follows SC rules, but it doesn't follow the type of sequences that I see with EU, AU, GU. So yeah, it wouldn't have really been something I would have been able to trade. If anything, if there was something to play off of here, then whatever, this would have been the ideal scenario. Because you have the liquidity grab, you have the unwillingness, you have the mitigation, now you have the second mitigation, so you're trading order flow. That would have been a much better scenario. Like for example, taking it, yeah. But you see, if you take it off here, where's your SL? See, like the only realistic scenario that I could think of is playing this. That's the only realistic scenario I could think of. And that's just because the picture has already been painted. Right, you have obviously the liquidity grab that we just talked about, the major liquidity point being taken. Right, we have another scalp break of structure to the downside, full break of structure, mitigation, unwillingness, micro break, continuation, order flow. That's the only thing that makes sense, right? But it would have been hard to trade at the time because, let's just take this out for a bit. This is why understanding narrative is important, because look, you would be momentum, you would be thinking this. So that's why order flow and understanding narrative based on order flow is such an important thing, right? Because the typical person will say low, high, break of structure, right? Continuation. But when you zoom out, that's not a substantial new high, right? You keep in mind, that's what I always say with structure: substantial new high, substantial new low. So that's not in play, right? We now have relative equal highs. Liquidity has just been taken, internal liquidity grab, and then that paints the narrative picture. So if you're trying to buy here, it's hard because you're at a very high premium in terms of where the structural range is, right? And two, if you're only focused on the scalp narrative, then you're missing out on the minor intraday, major intraday, overall directional bias. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely a tough trade to take. Tough trade to take. Unless you're understanding narrative. But do you guys have any more questions? Let's see. Cool, no questions? So we just end it off here. Cool. All right then. Let me actually put this in the announcements. And yeah, I'm also gonna move Tuesday's calls to this time. I think it's just better. I think it's much better to just do the calls in the morning. People have work, okay, you could watch it after work. And this is, I think this is a good time as well for my Europeans, right? It's like what, in between 4 and 6 p.m. Yeah, I'll do Tuesdays too. Yeah. Yeah, 4:30 in the UK. Yeah, I also want to do it just because I like to enjoy my like to enjoy my evenings to myself. Go try out a new spot, go write some notes, go read something. I like to enjoy my time. 9 p.m. in India. Yeah, you see, so it's probably much more convenient. And it benefits me too, because now I take care of everything trading related before 12. So now I can go to the gym, do school stuff, I can work on some projects, work on videos if I need to make videos. But I don't think you guys need any more videos, do you? Like, I do for sure need to make the solidified higher low video. Premium and discount isn't, like, that was one I have noted, but I mean, I'm pretty sure premium discount is a given. I'm pretty sure you guys can understand it just by me using it once. And then the other one I had in mind was internal external disruption, and it's just like, what I mean, the difference with internal external reaction isn't necessarily the concept itself, it's just where it is. So even if you incorrectly know internal and external, it's not necessarily a bad thing, a worse thing. Right, Fako, would you agree with that? And by videos, I mean course videos. I don't mean breakdowns. Those will come as trades come. That's you know, you guys know that. Right. So do you think it is significant to acknowledge internal external? As it's the end of the day, a disruption's a disruption. The only important thing, yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. So because I had this conversation with somebody, and it's like, you should make a video on internal external, but it's like, what's the I don't want to say what's the point, but what's the objective? Because the only difference is location, not necessarily the concept itself. Obviously, if over time we make some transitions, then maybe I'll make another video, but yeah. Yeah, but that isn't a disruption thing. That's a narrative thing. That's not an issue with internal external. That's an issue with narrative. You see what I mean? Wick theory, I mean, all Wick theory is an internal SC, you know? Like, does anybody here not know excuse me, does anybody here not know how to use Wicks as SCs? All right, let's see. Like, do you guys see why I'm in a note? What the hell? What in the world? All right. Do you guys see why that wick is there? I like using wicks when they take liquidity. Okay, that's a model thing then. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all it is an SC on a smaller time frame that's represented through a wick. Sometimes you're gonna notice that you can see a wick, but you cannot see the SC inside the wick, right? So sometimes I just leave it as is and then just play the reaction here. You see what I mean? Another one. You see, this is what Luis is talking about right here. That's more of a model thing that you're saying. You're trading specific types of wicks. That's a model thing. Understanding unsupported moves has helped me a lot. Yeah, the thing is unsupported moves is it's not anything that's tested, right? And honestly, would you say it's more of a narrative thing? That's what I would say it is. It's more of a narrative thing. If a move doesn't make sense based on narrative, then it could be considered unsupported. But the thing is, you can't judge it as unsupported until after it's happened. You see what I mean? You cannot judge unsupported moves because that is you predicting what price is going to do, right? Which is kind of what we're doing, but we're playing it based on order flow. So because of order flow presents the case to, you know, either short or long. You see what I mean? Yeah, but it's not always absolute. It's not always like that, because to say that every time price doesn't mitigate something usually fails is incorrect. Yes, because of liquidity grabs, and because at the end of the day, what legitimate proof outside of our discoveries do we have that these concepts legitimately work? Right? It falls back to what we just said earlier about making the concepts work, making things work for you. Right? Making things work for you, because at the end of the day, if you knew how the markets moved, you'd probably be wanted by a lot of important individuals. If you really think about it, right? Because that's you literally have access to the gold mine. You don't need you can make as much money as you could ever possibly want if you actually knew how the market moved. Exactly. So that's one of those personal things where you have to acknowledge. I would open a signal group too. What the hell? Of course. Like if price didn't, yeah. So that I would say is more of a personal thing. Unsupported moves, I'm kind of trying to stray away from that with you guys, especially on these Zooms. Just because you can't really judge it as such until after it happens. You see, kind of like how you can't judge a liquidity grab until after it happens, right? So you can't play a liquidity grab until it's shown, right? Or else it's just picking a high or a low. But you see where I'm coming from, right? Like I probably would never make a video on unsupported moves. It would be one of those things that's hard for people to catch on to. But yeah, with due time, with due time. Obviously, yeah, there's no rush here. Yeah, I mean, who's to say you can't actually make the idea work for you, right, Lewis? So don't see it. So I think if you want to do research on it, don't start off with not seeing an unsupported move as an unsupported move. See an unsupported move as a move that does not fill or follow narrative. I think that's the best place to start for you if you're wanting to look into that. But yeah, are we good, or do you guys have any more questions? Or cool. But yeah, in terms of videos, if it's something you think I've missed out on, just let me know. Let me know, because usually I have these bursts where I'm just like content, you know, just like I said, I like to keep myself busy. So if I ever actually need to make a video, then I'll just make a series of whatever I've missed before and stuff, and just get everything done at once. But yeah, with that being said, I need to change up the Discord right now, so I'm gonna do that, upload this call, and then I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Yes, for sure, no problem, no problem. Y'all take care.